Imagine a world where sounds possess power, where the vibrations of words can alter reality. In this world, there exists a mantra known far beyond its homeland, Om Mani Padme Hum. Even if spiritual practices are foreign to you, encountering this mantra can be a fascinating journey into the depths of Eastern culture and philosophy. It's worth noting that mantras occupy a special but not central place in Buddhism. They are not the essence of the teachings, but rather an additional tool that can be useful when applied correctly. If you want to learn more about the role of mantras in Buddhist practice, refer to previous research on the topic. Om Mani Padme Hum is particularly revered in the Mahayana and Vajrayana traditions of Buddhism. The pronunciation of this mantra varies depending on the region and language, due to differences in accents and dialects. However, for those who speak languages of the Indo-European group, the Sanskrit pronunciation may be the most accessible and accurate. What sound will unlock the gates to understanding this ancient mantra? As noted previously in materials dedicated to mantras, a deep understanding of their meaning is a determining factor. The 14th Dalai Lama also emphasizes that without awareness of the mantra's meaning, it is impossible to achieve the desired effect in working on one's inner world and aspirations. After all, the practice of mantras is not aimed at simply uttering sounds, but at transforming the personality. Let's examine each syllable of the mantra in more detail, along with its translation from ancient Sanskrit. The syllable Om symbolizes the original reality, the primary vibration, the hidden potential present in all things, including our body and mind. Mantras often begin with this syllable. It represents the quintessence of the vibration of any energy and sound as a whole. There are numerous poetic interpretations of the sound Om, but in simple terms, when trying to emit a pure sound vibration, it will most likely be close to the sound Om. The syllable Mani translates as treasure. In this context, this treasure represents compassion, the desire to selflessly help others. Such compassion is undoubtedly invaluable to both the giver and the receiver. Anyone who has found themselves in a difficult situation or has helped others realizes the true value of compassion. The word Padme is rooted in the symbolism of the lotus, a flower whose beauty and purity serve as a metaphor for profound wisdom. Without this wisdom, as ancient wisdom asserts, it becomes impossible to help oneself or others, and good intentions can have unpredictable consequences. Just as the lotus blooms in muddy waters, remaining untainted, so too can wisdom exist in an imperfect world without losing its purity and clarity. The sound hum, like the sacred Om, eludes a single interpretation. It is closest to the idea of unity, embodiment, and wholeness, symbolizing the realization of hidden potential. In the context of the mantra, this potential is revealed through the harmonious combination of method and wisdom. It is important to note that the proposed interpretation does not claim to be absolute truth. Mantras, by their nature, are multifaceted, and a deep understanding of each sound, its symbolic meaning and context, requires in-depth research. Collectively, the mantra calls for the union of wisdom and compassion, for a sincere desire to help others, underpinned by the ability to do so effectively. It expresses the aspiration for self-improvement through the unification of necessary qualities in order to provide effective assistance to others. Thus, the mantra becomes the embodiment of correctly realized compassion, directed towards the benefit of all beings. The captivating history of the Om Mani Padme Hum mantra dates back centuries. One of the oldest texts containing mention of this sacred phrase dates back to approximately the 4th or early 5th century AD, placing us 1.5 millennia in the past. Although these words do not belong to Buddha Shakyamuni, and the exact date of their appearance remains a mystery, the existence of even earlier sources cannot be ruled out. The listener can expect a mystical and figurative narrative, as we are talking about a very ancient text, the style of which reflects the spirit of that time. However, it is precisely this approach that will allow us to penetrate the deep context of the mantra. In a cycle of stories, the text tells of Avalokiteśvara and his deeds. Avalokiteśvara is a bodhisattva, a term with several meanings. In this context, it denotes an enlightened being, driven by boundless compassion and setting before himself the grandiose goal of saving all living beings, without exception. The name Avalokiteśvara itself is a combination of three parts: Ava, meaning down, Lokita, meaning to observe, and Ishvara, meaning master or great. Taken together, this name can be interpreted as the Great One who gazes upon the world of suffering. He is often depicted with 1,000 arms, symbolizing his limitless ability to help others. The text tells of Avalokiteśvara descending into the darkest depths of hell and liberating the beings languishing there. It is noteworthy that the cosmology of many religions includes mentions of great beings who performed similar acts, rescuing souls imprisoned in hell. The narrative reveals the image of Avalokiteśvara, who gained fame through boundless compassion for all living things and tireless assistance to those who suffer. Residing in the radiant pure lands of the higher worlds, he appears as a center of accumulated virtues and supernatural abilities, driven by a single aspiration to alleviate the suffering of all beings. Ancient texts celebrate him as a lamp in the darkness, granting deliverance from fear, a healing balm for the sick, and a guide for lost souls languishing in hellish realms. A special place in his veneration is occupied by the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, a six-syllable formula that has become an integral attribute of Avalokiteśvara, for which he is often called Lord of the Six Syllables. Although the earliest mentions of Avalokiteśvara and his mantra are found in ancient texts, such as the famous Heart Sutra, which is a cornerstone of Mahayana Buddhism, there are many other sources confirming the significance of this image. Through the veil of myths and mystical images, the core of the teaching emerges. If we accept the concept of life after death, then in the diverse system of worlds described in Buddhist cosmology, there are great beings ready to come to the rescue, driven by compassion. In a more abstract understanding, Avalokiteśvara is the embodiment of wisdom and compassion, and his mantra is a symbol of these qualities. Regardless of whether he is perceived as a real being striving to help or as a collective image of compassionate wisdom, the main thing is to grasp the essence, wisdom embodied in compassion, and compassion guided by wisdom.